And the thing is, they're trying to take our children and groom them. That's the honest truth. They're trying to teach our children that their viewpoints are the only truth. Now, they may advocate for their truth, but they can't take our children and teach them that that is the truth. That's the job of parents.
We stand together as the Canadian people, as the Muslim and the Christian, to protect our children.
From them, from that.
Yes!
We don't need that, or our children.
We're here today because we're concerned about our children imposing on them an agenda that we did not sign up for. So we're not against anyone. We're not against any ideology. We need to exercise our freedom that is granted for us and supported by the Canadian Constitution.
Leave our kids alone! Leave our kids alone! Leave our kids alone! Leave our kids alone! Leave our kids alone!
Adam Soos here for Rebel News with a StopClassroomGrooming.com update. We are here at City Hall in Calgary, where a group of protesters that is being led and organized by a group on Facebook called Calgary Muslims has gathered for an interfaith opposition, resistance, and protest against mandatory LGBTQ indoctrination in school. Everyone is absolutely welcome at this protest, and the organizers have made clear that this is not an anti-LGBTQ protest or a protest against any group of people. Rather, this is a protest in defense of their very own children and a defense of their religious fundamental freedoms, not to mention a defense of education, inclusive education for everyone, not just a select few with a selective progressive agenda. I am now joined by Mahmoud, who's one of the organizers of this event. First off, I just wanted to ask, what was sort of the motivation? What inspired you to host this protest?
What inspired us to host this protest? What happened in Edmonton actually was that kid how he's been bullied by the teacher, and this is the tip of the iceberg. So to notice one incident that happened and been recorded and went to the media, so how many others that we didn't know of?
That's how it works. It's an exchange. And it isn't like that in all countries. As I told you, in Uganda, literally, if they think you're gay, they will execute you. If you believe that kind of thing, then you don't belong here. Because that is not what Canada believes. We believe in freedom.
And this is make us concerned. As a parent of 5 kids, I feel like something should be done, because if my son faced the same challenge, been bullied, embarrassed in front of his student, what could he do? So that's what start getting us to go and raise our concern. Our kids should be left alone.
So I'm now joined by Dave Parker of Take Back Alberta. If you could just tell me a little bit about why you've come out to this event.
I've come out because I think it's very important for us to protect our kids. I think if we're taking back Alberta from anything, it's this woke ideology that is taking over our schools, taking over our institutions. As I've said in many of my speeches, a small fringe minority with unacceptable views has taken over all of your institutions, your legal institutions, your educational institutions. They've taken over our courts. And we need to stand up as the people and say, enough is enough. You know, I'm fine with adults making whatever decisions that they want to make, but when it comes to kids, I do not want indoctrination at all.
Actually, we are here as a Canadian. We stand as a Muslim and Christian and people of all the faiths and backgrounds to protect our children. So, you know, we are Canadian, and our right maybe to choose what our kids we need to learn. So we are against the indoctrination of LGBTQ ideology on our schools. And in the end, I would like just to say, make sure 99% of the Canadian people will elect someone who stand with us against this decision that contracted us as a Muslim and a Christian and other religion. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So the crowd, as you can see, has grown quite a bit. There are a few hundred people here now at City Hall, people of all faith backgrounds gathering together, standing in solidarity. There's been chants, and a number of speakers have taken to the gathering area to share their perspectives and opinions on this critical issue, all sharing the similar message that this is not about hatred, not about targeting any community, but instead simply about affirming education and affirming their safety for their children. That is the core of this message. As you can see, quite a few people there. The counter-protest, despite efforts online to consolidate quite a bit of support, seems rather small. There are probably about 20 or 30 people counter-protesting the few hundred people who are here gathered together.
We're here today because we're concerned about our children imposing on them an agenda that we did not sign up for. So we're not against anyone. We're not against any ideology. We need to exercise our freedom that is granted for us and supported by the Canadian Constitution, that we have to have a say in what is being taught to our grandkids. I'm a grandma, so that's why I'm here.
Now joined by Jeff Park of the Alberta Parents Union, your organization obviously advocating not for necessarily one agenda, but just for the idea of parents as primary educators. How sort of inspiring is it to see people from all sorts of backgrounds coming together and standing up for something that you really advocate for?
Absolutely. It's fantastic to see people who have recently been told by a teacher in Edmonton that they can't be a Canadian if they believe what they believe, come out here and exercise the most Canadian right they have to protest their government, to exercise their free speech, and to exercise their choice in education, and to make sure that the parents retain the authority over their kids' education. So it's extremely inspiring to see this giant crowd from every nation out here exercising their basic Canadian responsibilities and rights.
Because we want to protect our kids, we need them to have our culture, and we leave them alone, they have to leave us alone.
And so that seems an important message. It isn't about hate, it's not about going after any groups.
Not about hate, not about religion, not about faith at all.
So I am now joined by a local Calgary imam, Abdi. I just wanted to get your perspective as a religious leader in this community. What has brought you out to this event? Why are you here today?
I'm a father of 7. And after that, I'm a leader of a community. And our community has been feeling oppressed. And really, our rights in this country is under attack. So anyone who has little bit responsibility must rise up and stand up and say no to this thing. We are not forcing anyone to have our culture. We should not be forced to have someone else's culture. You have a freedom to choose what you want, but you don't have a freedom to force others to take yours.
Well, I find it completely amazing that so many different groups are coming together in unity against this radical gender ideology and protecting kids in schools. I mean, kids should not be taught this sexually explicit material at such a young age. They should just let them be kids, okay? Dude, I don't want children to be taught that in schools. Like, it shouldn't be happening.
So I have a kid. That's the first and most important thing. So I would like me to raise my kid in a way that aligns with our faith and our way of life. The Constitution of Canada gives us the right to practice our beliefs. So we cannot practice on anything that has to do with what you're trying to do. So you can't force it on us with kids in schools, even at work, even at any place. So you need to keep your distance. You have to know your limit. Don't come into other people's limits and try to force whatever you want on us.
Well, to tell you the truth, Adam, this what's happening in the schools now. I can't believe it's gone this far. I've heard of even kids identifying as who they want to be different day to day. As I speak now, we do in our own immediate family. We have a person that's identifying as the opposite gender, and I just feel, it's going too far as to what, telling kids and giving these so-called, it's okay to feel what you want to be. I think we got to get back to basics in the education system.
So I'm just asking people today, why have you come here? Why are you at this event?
Because it's against my religion, against the nature, against everything good in this life.
Now, I can't help but notice the irony here. Obviously, there's some questions about the discoveries at residential schools, but there are no doubts as to whether the sort of cultural indoctrination and erasure that occurred at residential schools is tragic. Meanwhile, we have something similar here. These Muslims, Christians, people of all faith backgrounds alike, they're noticing that there's a repeating pattern. And for as long as the Canadian government has existed, there has been an effort to overreach with ideologies, whether it be in the residential schools or in public schools today.
And the thing is, they're trying to take our children and groom them. That's the honest truth. They're trying to teach our children that their viewpoints are the only truth. Now, they may advocate for their truth, but they can't take our children and teach them that that is the truth. That's the job of parents.
For folks, we've already seen a couple counter-protesters. There has been plans online to counter-protest this. For people out there who maybe don't see eye to eye with you, don't agree with you, what is your message for those people?
My message with them, like within arm reach, we could stand together to protect our children. Is this, we're not standing here because of hate or we have any discrimination against anyone. I know they're trying to spread the message, the right wing supporting us, they're hijacking our momentum and our movement and stuff, which is absolutely not true. It's about time to build the bridges. It's about time to stand together as a Calgarian to deliver a higher voice that this community, our kids should left alone. Let the kids be kids and let them live together in a peaceful mind, and we don't want to have that hate anymore.
Well, the event is set to wrap up here. As you can see behind me, the crowd has grown significantly. There are a few hundred people standing in solidarity, as we mentioned, from all backgrounds. There was a bit of a counter-protest, 30 or 40 people. There was a few near altercations, but ultimately the event managed to remain peaceful. We're going to have more stories like this, covering events like this right across the country at stopclassroomgrooming.com. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this report. We're going to be covering these critical gender theory, LGBTQ activism type stories extensively right across, whether it be Muslim schools, Catholic schools, Christian schools, or otherwise. And you can catch all of that coverage at stopclassroomgrooming.com. Again, stopclassroomgrooming.com.